Okay. Thank you, Tara. So we start, as always, with checking our motivation, of course. And then the motivation, if possible, not just in the head, but a motivation deep from the heart. Like, we can take Kapche Zompa Rinpoche, who says, like, finding pleasure in samsara is like finding pleasure playing with used toilet paper. Yeah. And so that's what we have to realize. And I have to admit, I don't realize it, but I have to hear this again and again and again. I realize it when samsara doesn't go the way I want it to go. So now, remember maybe a very beautiful moment that you had with friends, as I'm having here, laughing a lot, talking about old times, and totally forgetting about the suffering in samsara, totally forgetting about other people. Yeah, we talk about how fortunate we are in Switzerland and this and that, but sometimes just words. And then also, yes, we are very fortunate, but where is the renunciation? So just to remember, again and again and again, to definitely appreciate the situation that we're in. Of course, we have to. But then, as Rinpoche says, to use it in order to practice the Dharma, not just to burn up our positive karma that we have, which happens very, very quickly. So then it's good to think about, okay, life at the moment is really good because we all said we're all the same age, between 70 and 80. All of us are still fairly healthy and in the head also kind of okay. So I say how fortunate we are. But if I would ask the others, so okay, you feel grateful, but then what are you going to do with it? They're good people. They have good hearts. They're very generous also. But I couldn't talk to them about liberation from samsara, liberation from suffering and causes of suffering, attaining enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. So then, this is what makes life really fortunate. Not just that we have everything that we kind of need in order to have fun, pleasure, comfort, happiness, well-being, but in order to, it becomes really fortunate when we use it. And why can we use it? Because we have gurus, because we have teachers, because we have examples, we have books, and most of all, we have instructions. How to not to be under the control of our negative emotions anymore. How to apply these methods. And that's amazing. Sometimes, I'm talking about me personally, okay? Sometimes when I've been sick or whatever, or the knee operation, then I have moments when there's absolutely no pain and I notice it and I go like, wow, there's absolutely no pain. These moments I appreciate, but just that appreciation that at the moment there's no pain is not really beneficial because it creates attachment. Whereas the appreciation, wow, I have access to beings in my life who can really very clearly show me the path to full awakening, who are living examples, who can inspire me, and not only that, who can bless me. Because every time we think about the Guru, every time we make offerings to the Guru, our inner Guru wakes up. And then, the goal, not just for ourselves, the liberation from suffering and causes of suffering, but because we are aware, or at least, I have to think about this again and again and again and again, how dependent I am and was on others in all my previous lives. First of all, a mother, a mom, who is not frightened of going through the pains of being pregnant and then giving birth. I know that one also needs fathers in order to make babies. But it is the mother who carries the babies in her womb, who doesn't mind that she becomes really big and the belly is heavy and whatever. All her thoughts, most of them are for the baby, for the well-being of the baby. I mean, it's only parents who, for so long, probably their whole life, once the children are there, have this attitude, spontaneous and natural. May they be happy, may they be free from suffering. It's amazing. And not only that, not just the attitude, we say, may all beings have happiness, causes of happiness, may all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. But how much effort do we put into to bring this about? If we look at mothers and fathers, they do something so that it happens. So in case your experience with your parents in this life was unfortunate, and they didn't have this natural attitude of love and compassion for their children, then don't think about those parents. Just think about, my mind stream has been existing since beginningless time. I have had numberless rebirths. And even today, most of the parents, especially when the children are small, are very loving, very patient, put their own happiness and well-being totally towards the back, give up a lot for their children. I remember my ex-boyfriend, when he got married, had two boys. For about 16 years, they never went out, not to leave him at home alone. Amazing. It's not that they didn't like to go out, but they didn't want to have a babysitter. They wanted to spend the evenings with their children. How kind. And I would think, all sentient beings have been to us like this. Maybe just one time, maybe many times. Because infinite lifetimes is infinite lifetimes, no beginning, cannot count. Difficult to see the enormity of this. But slowly, intellectually kind of approaching ourselves to that thing. Yeah, bodhicitta, very noble, But it has nothing to do with noble. We actually owe it to them to repay that kindness. And then to think, this is why I'm doing all these, I'm applying all these methods, studying all these things, so that I can become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And really all sentient beings, not just the ones, as I said, when I make donations, it's projects that I know the people. That's biased, totally. But what can train the mind to be unbiased? Takes a long time, it's okay, but we see the good thing. The good thing about bodhicitta is I don't have to choose. Whoever needs it, whoever needs my attention, my help, whoever is there, ready to take it, I will give it. Isn't that wonderful? Makes it so simple, not easy, of course, but simple, not complicated, not confused, not based on attachment. Okay, so then before we look at how to offer food and drink, then we take refuge. Again, the refuge tree, Shakyamuni Buddha, either just Shakyamuni Buddha or all the other gurus and Buddhas around him. If you know the detailed refuge tree, then you can visualize that. If not, you should think they're all there because they're always all there. That's the reason to be for an enlightened being, to always be there, all pervading the Buddha's Dharmakaya, the mind. always ready to assist us, to bless us, to help us, if we have the karma to be helped, and if we're open to receive the help. So he visualized them, but thinking all of those, in essence, are the Guru. So we always unify the Buddha with the Guru. So then the Guru that appears in an ordinary form, we receive the blessings of the Buddha. It's just a training. Then around us, again, you can visualize your mom at your left side, your dad at the right side. If you do it a few times, all of a sudden it comes spontaneously. We don't have to go through it step by step anymore. Then people we do like, people that we like to spend time with, who open up our heart, who kind of allow us to be kind effortlessly, to show us our kind side, okay, mixed with attachment, but at least kind, effortlessly. People we like. People we don't like, where we don't even make the effort to be kind. Again, I'm talking about myself. Put in front with a strong, strong wish to dissolve these knots that we have, this resistance, as I'm saying, not even wanting to be kind. How shameful. Because it's especially those people who make us advance on the path, because the moment we are able to open up our hearts towards them, then we're practicing Dharma. Then we have affection without attachment, because they're not doing anything good for us, like openly, or, you know what I mean. Strong wish to be able to be totally relaxed with them so that they don't make us nervous anymore. We can be totally normal and natural and not so tense and kind of grumpy and closed heart. To look at them, not to be afraid of them, so that we can meet them anytime. Of course, if they're physically dangerous, then you're not meeting them physically. But I'm talking about open heart, love, compassion, affection, concern. And then around us are all these numberless mother sentient beings, all in human form. And as we take refuge for the moment, we visualize or we think that we are guiding them in taking refuge. Again, taking refuge, again, it's a training, and then it will come kind of spontaneously. We don't have to go so many words. Like, why are we taking refuge? Because I'm fed up to be under the control of my negative emotions. Because I'm fed up not having the skills to really benefit all sentient beings who hear, touch, see me, think about me, talk to me, talk about me, or whatever. I want to have these skills. For that, I have to become a Buddha. And I do trust the methods of the Buddha Dharma to get me to that point where I can live my values spontaneously, uninterruptedly, and effortlessly. And we take refuge. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soki chonam la changchu bardo dani kyapso chi dagi chin soki pesonam gi chola penchi sangye chupasho. Then for immeasurables also, one could actually make a meditation on it to feel these 4 attitudes, which are the immune system for our mind. But here, maybe we just combine it with Tonglen on breathe, because you all know how to do Tonglen. Then on breathing in, we think may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends, and hatred for enemies. We take attachment, indifference, and aversion on us because I have it anyway. Now others are more important. May they be free from it. And you can either breathe it in through all your pores or just through the nose. And as we breathe out with this kind of loving, concerned heart, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, and we think we give them all of them. So again, we don't have to choose all of them, everything they need in order to create more causes for happiness and to be happy. Everything they want, everything they need, but also everything they can take, because don't give them things that they cannot take. If I start talking to my friends about bodhicitta, this would spoil the evening because they don't ask about it. And as you breathe out, then you see them receiving all these things, whatever it is. Then as you breathe in, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And as you breathe out, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. This we do with an awareness that everybody has Buddha nature. Everybody at one point will be interested in discovering their Buddha nature, because our Buddha nature is constantly calling us, everybody. That's why we always want to be happier than we are, because spontaneously the Buddha nature tells us, hey, you could be in a better way. Only thing is, most of us, we look in the wrong place. We look outside instead of looking inside. So now, when you say, may all sentient beings be free from, may all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering, then you think you give them all your merit from all your spiritual practice that one needs in order to be able to receive teachings, in order to be able to have confidence and trust, in order to have the conditions to be able to practice them, inner and outer. And the inner ones are much more important than outer ones, but one also needs outer conditions. So we give them all this, all the merit that we have accumulated for us to attain enlightenment, we give it to all these other mother sentient beings in the form of light. So then actually this very simple practice of the four immeasurables, you actually have like three different things. One is you're much more aware of your breath, because it's in breath, out breath. So somehow you practice mindfulness. You practice, of course, love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And you practice Tonglen, like taking the suffering and giving your happiness. So it becomes very powerful. Then another good thing, it's good to start your whatever practice you do, or even if you just do this, in the morning before you get out of the house. I mean, it becomes so powerful because we do all this with what is called the merit field, like we called it at the beginning, the refuge tree, but then it's also sometimes called the merit field, because whatever we do with it, then it creates a lot of merit. Because why? Because it's a very powerful object. So then we can do the seven-limb prayer, which in my eyes is very often underestimated of how powerful it is if our mind is fully there, because it contains not only creating a lot of merit, but it also we train to have very strong positive attitudes, and it is very good antidote to negative states of mind. The first one is reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. Of course, we can prostrate with the body, but you can just do like this, but you don't even have to do like this. It's like, if you can, then you do. If it would be offensive, sometimes also, as I'm saying, here in the West, whatever, or in Israel, then speech is very important also. If you are with other people and they start to attack Buddhism and the Buddha and the Buddhists, if they attack the Buddhists that they sometimes behave not like Buddhists should behave, that's okay. You don't have to defend them because it's true. You can just agree. I mean, I know a few Buddhists who don't behave that we learn, or that we train. I also know other spiritual people who don't behave the way that their religion says, but we don't have to criticize them. Also, we don't have to kind of with the speech to protect the Buddhists kind of thing. But if somebody criticizes the Buddha or whatever, also don't go into arguments, whatever, that's okay. But when we say, it's good to sit down from time to time, we have these really beautiful prayers that praise the qualities of the Buddha. Geshe-la Kelsang Wangmo, she is just started to teach Nagarjuna's Ratnavali, the jewel garland, where also there the text kind of starts by paying homage to the Buddha. And, the Buddha doesn't need it, but for us it is so inspiring. Or if you read the short or much better, the longer version of the Golden Light Sutra, there's so many, all these gods and Brahma and Indra and Stavara and all these in the Gaudiyams, they all praise the Buddha. He's so inspiring. So we can do that ourselves also. Yeah, because then it kind of strengthens our own attitude to kind of confirm to ourselves it's good what we do. And then, of course, it's the mind that is the most important thing. Is like, people say, how can I prostrate with the mind? Well, it's like, it's gratitude, it is joy, it is devotion, it is respect. Respect is such a beautiful positive attitude. The positive states of mind, what are they here for? So we don't create negative karma. If you respect somebody, not because you're frightened of them, but because of their qualities, you don't lie to them, you don't shout at them, you don't scream at them, you're not even getting angry at them. So if we generate these minds, then we are protected. And of course, the first one, the prostration, is a great antidote to arrogance. And arrogance, again, we're not paying that much attention to arrogance because it feels good. We feel good about ourselves, we feel better than others, and blah, 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 and this and that. And then we always have to take somebody who is weaker than us in order to feel arrogant and this and that, but it's so stupid. And don't forget, arrogance is one of the negative mind factors, which when we do actions with arrogance, it creates negative karma. And negative karma makes us be reborn in the lower states, the throwing karma. Negative karma never creates a human rebirth. And we don't really pay that much attention to it. I think when I go to Israel, we will have one Shabbat Dharma on jealousy and arrogance, to really look at it and we see it very well in others when they're arrogant. I'm not talking about self-confidence. Self-confidence is a mind that says, well, this I did really well. We don't have to compare with anybody. Yeah, but then we can't go into that, but it's quite good to study it. There's 9 different ways of arrogance, kind of thinking that you're better when you are not better, or thinking that you're medium, but you're actually the lowest, and, things like that. It's quite interesting to see how they studied this. And I think the psychology would agree to it. Makes you very weak. When you're arrogant because you exaggerate your good qualities, people can attack you in a very good way. I think somewhere it said in one of these teachings, or I can't remember, just be natural, just be normal. Then your life becomes really simple. You know, if you put up kind of a facade that you can do this and that, then it becomes very complicated. Just be yourself. When people don't like you, well, what to do is okay. You can't, not everybody. How can everybody like you? Even the Dalai Lama, not everybody likes him. So how about us? You know. Anyway, so that's the first one. That is a really good antidote to arrogance. Maybe not directly, but if we keep doing that, you know, and also it makes us be able to accept help and to be able to accept guidance. Yes, Talia, what did you want to ask?
I have a question about karma. Because, you know, we said that the negative karma is committed when the four factors
Yes.
are completed, right? But we also say that the what we think creates negative karma. So if it's true that you're just thinking, but you didn't act, so how is it possible that both are negative?
Yeah, do you remember that in the karma, there is throwing karma and there is completing karma. So for the throwing karma, you need all four factors. For the completing karma, that the kind of determines that even in a human life, you can have really difficult situations, that will be completing karma, ripening or residues from throwing karma. Yeah, so for that, you don't need the four factors. For the completing karma, you don't need the four factors.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes. The completing karma is not at the end of our life, right? Throwing karma that's the karma that
the throwing karma is the karma that determines your rebirth.
Yes. Okay. At the time of death.
Well, yeah, I mean, the next rebirth can only come at the time of death.
Can you repeat, please, the last two sentences? What depends on your rebirth? 2 sentences ago.
Karma, an action where all the four factors are present, like your attitude or the intention,
and the completion,
the action, and the completion. That creates throwing karma, meaning it can throw you into a good rebirth if it's virtuous karma. It throws you into a suffering rebirth if it is a negative action. Okay? All right? Okay. So then the mind is quite up, you know, when this is also, we are so maybe I close this for a while, then I can see you. You know, I'm kind of attached to criticizing other people. It kind of produces somehow, not in a very bad way, but just, you know, like kind of, it creates some kind of pleasure feeling. And especially when other people agree, blah, blah, blah. But it's not really a happy mind. It's maybe pleasure because, again, you know, we've seen something. And actually, we shouldn't talk about this to other people. We should talk about this to the person itself. But for that, we don't have the courage. Especially Swiss people don't have the courage to do that. Germans, a little bit more. You know, there's this joke about the Swiss and the German, where a German says to the Swiss guy, he says, look, if you see something about me that you don't like, you would tell me, you would say so, would you? And the Swiss guy says, yeah, I would say so, but not to you, to somebody else. See, this is sometimes what we do. And then we have this perverse hope that the other person will hear it and will change or something like this. I mean, it's such a bad habit that I also have, like, you know, kind of pointing out other people's mistakes. So
isn't it called gossip?
Can be called gossip, but other things are also gossip. It's much worse than gossip, actually, criticizing. Yeah, and it's basically an unhappy mind because you see the negative sides. Whereas if you praise somebody from the bottom of your heart, it's a happy mind. Yeah. So this is also really good to remember. Although criticizing gives us maybe some kind of pleasant feeling, but it's not a happy mind. Try to compare it when you, of course, you know, there's so many factors that come into this. Like you can just, somebody that you don't like, and then you say, okay, from now on, I'm going to praise the person, your ego will totally rebel. It won't like it. It's totally fake. But try to see the difference in your, again, go inside. When you honestly praise somebody, it doesn't have to be somebody high like the Dalai Lama, a friend, you know, and look at how you feel, and then take somebody else and start criticizing them, and then look how you feel. Okay, so again, you know, it's good to think about ourselves also from time to time. Okay, then the mind is up because, you know, the qualities of the Buddha, like we do this to the merit field, not to anybody else. Then I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. This is what we talked about last time a bit, you know, making offerings to the merit field is creating so much merit, and it can be so easy because it doesn't even have to be anything physical. It can be something, as it says here, actual and imagined. And if you want to know offering verses also, how to do that, so beautiful. Second chapter of the Bodhicharyavatara. You know, Shantideva's, actually Shantideva goes through the 7 limbs there in his 2nd and 3rd chapter. It's so beautiful. It's so inspiring. And you can find these 7 limbs also in Nagarjuna's at the end of the Ratnavali, in the King of Prayers. You can find it in a more elaborate way. You can find it in the 10th chapter of the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. And try to find some that you really like, and then when you feel a bit down, you start reading that. And on top of it, it not only brings the mind up, but even if it doesn't bring the mind up, it doesn't matter. It creates merit because of the merit field being so powerful. Okay, so then you do that. And of course, that is an antidote to miserliness, because we learn to give clouds of every type of offering, or oceans of every time of offering. So we train the mind to give a lot, and not to give, you know, as little as possible so that it's still okay, kind of thing, you know. And then you give freely. I mean, generosity is a mind that you have the karmic result kind of a happy mind immediately. When you give freely, not too much, of course, but if you give freely, voluntarily, it creates a happy mind immediately. Yeah, you get the result of the happiness in the same time. But then the thing is, you know, what do? Christmas or birthdays, we go to the shops and try to find something to give to people that we give them pleasure when they already have everything. You know, it would be so easy to make people happy with when you want to give something, people who really need it. But then, no, it has to be my friend, and then this and that. And then when we give, we don't even give freely. It's still, you know, you give somebody, it doesn't matter what, maybe not flowers, because flowers, we know they fade. But you give them something, I don't know, like a picture or a Buddha statue or whatever, and then it stands there for a little while. And all of a sudden it's not there anymore. Maybe you don't ask because you're very polite if you're Swiss, but what do you think when the statue is not there anymore? What do you think? What's the question that comes up in your head?
Where did it go?
Where did it go is okay.
Well, it would be about, you know, I think related to yourself. That was something that I gave them.
Right.
Why did they take it away?
Yeah, well, it's actually, if you look at it, it's like, where is my statue?
Yeah.
You know, then if you're aware of that, you go, hey, but you gave it, so it's not yours anymore, you know? Or you see the statue in somebody else's house, on top of it, somebody that you dislike, you would say, what is my statue doing here? It's not, what is the statue of this other person I gave it to doing here? So this is how we think. So it's really, really good to, you know, to practice generosity and to learn to give freely. And here with this one, we can learn to give freely, or the altar that we had last time, because it goes against our attachment, and we're not calculating. Here we train to give as much as we can. And it's such a happy mind when you start thinking, I give as much as I can. Yeah, but then immediately the fear is coming out. Oh, it might be too much. Then I'll be the other day I gave like 20 francs to somebody, beggar. And the person who was with me, she's scolded me and she said, that's far too much. I said, come on, 20 francs. You go and eat one pizza somewhere, it's more expensive than that. Why are you telling me it's too much? He can't go that far with these 20 francs. But it's also beggars, here we give, but you know, not something that I can do with. And there was an article in the Swiss newspapers, you know, homeless people saying, you know, of course people want to give us food, but how many sandwiches can you eat a day? He said, if I would eat all the sandwiches and drink all the coffees that people that pass want to give me, I would die of, you know, of high blood tension and what's the other one called? Diabetes. It's true, you know, and then we get upset if they don't want to accept the sandwich or the croissant or whatever, and we think they're ungrateful. Because they said we also have other needs. We all have a telephone. We need to pay for the, you know, for the abonnement, how to say, for the subscription. And so I need socks, I need this. So then they had one beggar, he had different containers. One was socks, one was, you know, the portable, how to say, the mobile phone. One was food, cat food or something like that. It was really funny. So it's just, you know, they're like us. We also have a normal life that we spend money for this and this and this and this. Anyway, so we probably won't get to the food offering if we continue like this. Then I present clouds of every type of offering that counteracts miserliness, and it shows you the joy of giving without fear. When you start to visualize these beautiful things, because also, you know, the altar is quite small, except for when you're in Rinpoche's house or when a Rinpoche comes also, we get big tables, many offering bowls and like this. Anyway, we talk about this, I think, next Monday. Then the mind is up, and then we can think about our negative sides or the stupid things that we did. You can only skillfully think about the stupid things you did when your mind is up. If your mind is already down, and this is what we do, then we go into the negativities, and then it pulls us down even more, instead of giving us the strength and the courage to face it and say, yes, I did, and I want to purify it, and I want to stop doing that without touching yourself. You know, and then it kind of actually declaring negative actions accumulated since beginningless time is it's a very courageous mind, and it gives you, it's the antidote to shame and guilt. Okay, because shame and guilt, these are totally loser emotions. It just blocks us. It doesn't get us anywhere. We can't bear when other people are happy. We get jealous and all green and, you know. But just to say, yeah, I do negative actions, and to actually say it to to a person that you trust is very liberating. Tell you, for that, the Catholics, they are really very fortunate that they have a priest who is not allowed to say this to anybody else, and they can go and confess. It is so powerful. It's so liberating. But then they have to do something, of course, you know, just saying, oh yeah, boo, I did something negative. It's not enough. You have to kind of pay the debt and do something that counteracts it. And we talked about this in the first 2 Mondays, isn't it? Then I rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. This also we don't do enough. You know, there's so many good things happening. And when Lama, what's his name? When Geshe Loden from Vajragini was in Switzerland, he was in Bern and then in Martigny. He kept saying all the time, you don't have to rejoice. This is why you don't have any joy in your practice. Everything seems like a duty. Yeah. So this is when we start to really think about all the merit that we create with the merit field, when we do this 7-limb practice, then slowly, slowly joy comes. And joy, by the way, joy has causes. So one of the causes of joy is giving freely, is generosity. Another cause is ethical conduct. But not ethical conduct, oh, I'm afraid to do these things when somebody looks. But ethical conduct, hey, I don't want to harm or hurt anybody. That is a cause for joy. Then, of course, humor is a cause of joy. You know, when we just went to see another friend this afternoon, just such a difficult life. But when she tells these situations, she laughs about it, not in a flippant way, but really in a way, yeah, okay. And she tells it in a funny way. So it's much less heavy. The situation is still difficult, but it's much less heavy. Yeah, so then guilt and shame. No, the rejoicing is it's a little bit lacking, you know. Sometimes I feel that we don't really dare to rejoice. We don't dare to rejoice. Wow, you know, I'm practicing Dharma. It's really good. We think it goes into arrogance or something like that. We want, again, this Swiss people, you know, Swiss people. How many of you have lived in Switzerland or are Swiss? Well, Talia, you got to know us a little bit. Well, Teres is Swiss. Who else? Maria, yeah. Tara, I don't know if you lived in Switzerland. No. We have this kind of sick humility, you know. It is so fake, I tell you. It is so totally fake. And we're so proud of it. We're proud of being humble. It's like, ugh. But it's a learned cultural thing. Was meinst du, Therese? Habe ich recht oder nicht?
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
I remember in school when a child got a new bicycle, we were kind of talking bad about them having a new bicycle, and yes,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, or you know, somebody comes and has a new sweater in Switzerland, and somebody says, "Wow, you have a nice sweater." Then the Swiss person says, "Oh, I sold it I bought it in the sale," or "Oh, it wasn't expensive." Something like this. We cannot say, "Oh, wow, thank you very much," and be happy about it, because if somebody praises you, they have a happy mind. You see, so it's good for them also that you give them reasons to praise you. Okay? This is kind of thinking about around two corners. It's not just good for you, it's good for them also when they praise you. So rejoice with them that they find your sweater is nice. And then if you want to have absolutely no attachment, you say, "Oh, you like it? You want it? You can have it," for example. You know, then of course, Swiss persons, "Oh, no, 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 no." We wouldn't even dare say it. And, you know, I noticed it in myself, actually, this whole thing. And then immediately I understood something, and I learned never to offer anything that I don't want to give. Because it was many years ago in Nepal, and then at that time, apples were very, very rare. And I had one, and I was eating it. I was still a lay person. And somebody standing next to me, and I said, "Do you want a bite?" And he said, "Oh, yes, please." And he ate the whole rest of it. And I got so upset. And I thought, well, you offered it. Why are you offering? You didn't. Well, I said a bite. I didn't say, "Do you want the rest of the apple?" But still, it's like, and since then, I never, ever offered something that I don't want to give. So I offer you something means I want to give it. If you don't take it, I'm not offended. But this also we have to learn, you know, not just out of politeness, to go like, "Oh, do you want it?" And hoping that the person says no. Because the person might, and then you, of course, if the person says yes and you don't want to give it, you still give it, but you're not happy about giving it. This is how complicated we are, isn't it? Oh, then these two other ones, if you want to know the benefit of this, then again, it's in the long version of the Golden Light Sutra, Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. So anyway, rejoicing is the antidote to jealousy. Jealousy is another loser emotion. It doesn't take away anything from the other person, and we cannot enjoy what we have. So it's such a, at least attachment and aversion, it kind of gives us something, or it can push something away. But jealousy and arrogance is like, well, nothing. And it can eat us up, and it's, again, it kind of destroys all the joy that we can have in life. Then please remain until the end of cyclic existence. So if you want, or if you want to visualize, you can visualize a golden throne offering to the merit field, and it absorbs into the throne of the Buddha. Yeah, and what it does, it makes the life of the guru stable, and also it creates the karma that you will meet the perfect guru life after life after life. Now, the perfect guru doesn't mean a perfect guru who knows all the things and who, the perfect guru is somebody that you allow the person to guide you. Because a guru can be very perfect, but if you don't allow them to guide you, then what's the point of all their qualities? There's no point. So that is creating that, and then, or purifying the karma of, purifying the karma that we've done in relationship with the gurus, which is quite heavy. And then again, we can say, well, in this life, I don't even have a guru. Why should I have done negative karma with the guru? But you must have had a guru, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here and listening to me, and you wouldn't be Buddhist. Yeah. And turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. So you're requesting the teaching. So that means that creates the cause that you will have outer and inner conditions to practice the Dharma in its entirety in the future. And you visualize offering a golden wheel, 8-spoked or 1,000-spoked, that absorbs into the heart of the guru when you do that. So you see, instead of then just kind of having words, you think about a lot of things, which then also creates mental karma. And then of course, it's the antidote for, disparaging certain Dharma practices or not being able to do them or things like that. It purifies all the karma that we have, negative karma we have created in relationship with the Dharma. And then I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. Of course, then that reaffirms to ourselves why we are doing this, and whatever the merit we have created in doing these very simple practice is not getting lost. Okay? And then on top of it, if you can think, I dedicate my own merits, which are empty from their own side, and those of all others who are empty from their own side, to the great enlightenment, which is empty from its own side, it becomes even more powerful. Okay, so doing the 7-limb practice, I think, every day is really powerful. This is why it's at the beginning of every sadhana. And you can really start your whatever you do, or if you just do this, so powerful, just taking refuge, remembering why you're practicing, generating bodhicitta, and then doing the 7 limbs with the merit field. Then, of course, what comes after is like the mandala if you want. But yeah, do you have questions to that, or is that okay as far as that with the 7 limbs? The main thing is that it doesn't become just lip service. This is why I thought I want to talk about this, because then not much merit. Yeah. But it's the 7 limbs are really there to transform our mind. Okay, good. Then we go to food offering. All right. So food, since we eat it all the time, is great to practice Dharma. Because, sometimes you say, oh, I don't have time to make frustrations. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do purification practice, whatever. But we never don't have time to eat. Yeah, sometimes maybe we just gulp it down, but we always eat. We always find time to eat. Although it just sustains the body, then it's like, yeah. And then if we have the ability and if we train, make it a habit to turn it into Dharma, because otherwise it just becomes the cause for more samsara. You know, or what, as Patrul Rinpoche was saying, hey, what's the point of all these activities? It's just a cause for more samsara. What's the point of all this eating? It is just a cause for more caca. Right, so you can see even the very high lamas have a lot of humor. And so, of course, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, I don't know if you know the story, he had food not to eat. He ate it, of course, but the purpose of him receiving food was one thing, so that the people who gave him the food created merit, because of course he's a guru. And the most important thing was for him to offer it. So when he was, it's very often when he was on the plane, you know, because you will see when I then open the text, which is done by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, there's no ending, you know, this and this and this, and this 7 times or as many times as you can, blah, 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 blah. So everybody else had eaten, and, you know, he still had his tray there untouched with his food. And so before landing, I mean, the flight attendant came and said, oh, I'm sorry, I have to take the tray away. Venerable Roger, who says, yeah, but he hasn't, can you just leave it maybe a little while more? He hasn't even touched the food. Rinpoche takes the tray, gives it to the flight attendant, and says, it's okay, I already offered it. See, that is, so then we can do both. You know, when you prepare the food, it's really good that you think, I'm preparing this food, not just to offer it to my friends, but then to be able to offer it to the Buddhas and to the Guru and all this, right? So then we're sure that we're not creating negative karma. Also, offering the food before you eat it is a great antidote to attachment to food. Yeah. So instead of, so also the fact that we are able to eat good food is that kind of, we're burning up positive karma. Yeah, so if we don't offer it, we're not kind of replenishing, kind of how to say, we're not filling up the stock of the positive karma. Yeah. So of course there is very elaborate ways to offer the food. I mean, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, half an hour before you eat, but it doesn't have to be as complicated as that. I mean, there is this food offering thing. Maybe I can put it in the chat, and then you can download it. If I receive, maybe I should have sent it to Talia or to Tara. Oh, but I'll try to do this myself. It's called Food Offering Practices, where everything is inside. Oh, why doesn't this open as it should? Oh, here it is. Ah, it worked. Okay. I found it on the on the Lama Yeshe Wisdom Archive, and there's a lot of explanations there also, right? So, so if we eat food with attachment, even, you know, like just this whole thing. So what do I say now? If somebody gives me food, can I not say it is good anymore? Is that already attachment? Finding it good, is that already attachment? This is a question to you guys.
No.
No?
It's not attachment, it's a sense of appreciation. But sorry, I feel like
When
but
was it?
you kind of has this grasping.
Yeah. So
that-
when you are,
you
you
want
know,
more, or you're not willing to share.
right. So a friend of yours prepares a really good good meal. And then you say, wow, this is so delicious. How did you make it? Is that attachment?
No, it's rejoicing in their support.
Yeah.
It's not attachment. Because why do you ask, how did you make it?
To praise her that she has beautiful skills. Huh? Because it's not something I can do.
To steal
Yeah.
her skills.
Because you want to cook it. You know, or maybe I should have said, maybe I should have been a bit more clear. You ask for the recipe. You know, kind of how did you make it is like asking for the recipe. So again, you know, asking for the recipe already, you know, I have to repeat it in order to get the pleasant feeling from the food. So when you say, oh, this is really delicious, because you want to praise the other person, that's fine. But very often when we say this, we totally believe, and we make this belief even stronger, that the pleasure comes from the food. And that is attachment. Thinking that the food is the cause for the pleasure. The food is just the condition for the pleasure. Because if the food would be the cause for the pleasure, you could eat the same food all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. And we all know that except for, you know, the more you offer food and the more realized you become, the less it is important how the food is. It can be anything. You can eat the same thing, like the Tibetans. They eat the same thing every day. They say, you Westerners, what's wrong with you? Why can't you eat the same food every day? And with the food, you know, there's so much about food. I mean, if you look at people's bookshelves, now it's not bookshelves anymore. Now it's all in the telephone or the tablet or wherever. How many recipes, how many this, how many that? It's like, yeah, there are maybe a few books on healthy food, but we totally lost the cause or why we are eating food. Food is there to nourish us. Food is there to keep the body alive, but we create it for a source of happiness. And it's totally wrong, because we will never find the source of happiness. Has it ever happened to you? Because me, I cook totally spontaneous. Maybe I look at the recipe and then I don't look anymore. And then at the end, I finish the dish, I look at the recipe and I thought, oh, I didn't do it the way it says here. But then it comes out quite well. And then I want to repeat it. Right? Have you ever tried that? And then the second time, what? It's not the same. And it's not as good as the first time. Why? Is it because of how you did the food, or why is that? Because the first time we have nothing to compare it with. And this is why it's good. Well, it can also be totally not good, you know, if too much salt or too much this and too much that. But I'm talking about something that you succeeded quite well. And then the second time you already compared. This is why we're so attached to that first moment, because it's the best moment, because we have nothing to compare it with. The moment you have something to compare it with, it's already spoiled. Okay, so, you know, attachment to food, we have to be really, really careful. So this is why, for example, maybe I'll show you this one, because the other one, you can just look at it yourself, maybe we go through it, but it's very elaborate, the one from the FBMT. But there's one that is really, really simple, and it's from Tupten Children, who is coming to Switzerland, by the way, next spring, I think. Oh, I have to share the screen, sorry. Here, it goes a bit like this. I contemplate how much before you eat, you look at the food. I contemplate how much positive potential I have accumulated in order to receive this food given by others. You know, I cook it, it becomes my dish. If I, you know, without others doing the pots, the pans, the stove, the ingredients, whatever, so many beings, is absolutely not my dish. Whatever, when I offer it, this food is not mine that I offered. It's been given to me by others. Then ego goes, yeah, but I bought it. Well, also the money comes from somebody else, you know. So then we start to really appreciate, you know, also when we offer something, the appreciation that we have something to offer. Yeah, so that also we very often forget, you know, and say, oh, this is really delicious. Do we appreciate, is there appreciation there also, that we have the positive karma that we can receive, or we can have that food, that we have a body that can take the food. I contemplate my practice, constantly trying to improve it. I contemplate my mind, cautiously guarding it from wrongdoing, greed, and other defilements. I contemplate this food, treating it as medicine to nourish my body. So this is kind of the Hinayana way to offer food. Yeah, this is how monks and nuns offer the food. I contemplate the aim of Buddhahood, accepting and consuming this food in order to accomplish it. Yeah, so that's kind of the Hinayana way, is like I'm just eating this food as medicine, so I have a healthy body, I can continue with my practice. Then imagine the food as blissful nectar inside of our jeweled vessel and recite Om Ahum. I think we did the 3 syllables Om Ahum last time, did we? I think so, yeah. Like Om Ahum, so first the Hum kind of falls into this beautiful vessel, purifying it of all pollutions. Also pollution, attachment, for example, is also pollution, but one wants to offer something pure. So pollutions of chemicals, or, you know, like air pollution or earth pollution, water pollution, whatever. Ah transforms it into emptiness. Hum, yeah. Hum first, and Ah transforms it into emptiness, and Om makes it arise as inexhaustible nectar. So again, you think about things do not exist the way that they appear to us. They are empty, and then there's already less attachment. And also when we feel the pleasure, to say, the pleasure is not in the food, the pleasure is in me exhausting positive karma of getting pleasant feelings, because, you know, the cause for pleasant feelings is positive karma. Yeah, so all these things. Then offer to a small Buddha visualized at your heart chakra, who experiences bliss and radiates light that fills your body. Then you go 3 times Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. You know, the food gets transformed. Then you offer it to the Buddha first, then to the Dharma, then to the Sangha. So this is in Tibetan. I put it here in Tibetan because very often the Tibetan lamas, they just bless the food like this, or they offer the food like this, and then they eat. They're not going like Lama Zopa Rinpoche for half an hour or even longer. Yeah, also, especially when they are with other people, they might do it when they're on their own. But then I'm not saying that this is better than the other. It's like, it's just different. But this is usually, it's in the Tibetan tradition, this Trungpa Lame Sangye Rinpoche, Kyopa Lame Damche Rinpoche, Tempa Lame Gedun Rinpoche, Kyatne Kuncho Sumla Chöbar Bul. What it means, to the precious Buddha, the peerless guide, to the precious Dharma, the peerless refuge, to the precious Sangha, the peerless liberators, to the 3 jewels, we make this offering. So that's the verse that is in bold. And then we can add, but the prayer from Nagarjuna that monks and nuns say is much longer. But I thought, you know, just to extract these 2, and then this food, which has 100 flavors, is mouth-watering and well-made, we offer with faith to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, may all beings enjoy the food of concentration. We see this food as medicine, we eat it without attachment or aversion, not to increase arrogance, strength, or good looks, only to sustain the body. So, you know, if we could have, but then of course people say, oh, but then it becomes boring. But we have so many kind of pleasant things to do, like practicing the Dharma with joy, then trying to find pleasure in the food. Shall I put this in the chat also? Maybe, because this is quite simple, and because elaborate things are really nice to do in a retreat when you have time. Wait, elaborate things are quite nice to do this now. When you have time, but then I'm sorry, I am not a multitasking person. I cannot do two things at the same time. I always admire these people. They can talk
Yeah.
and read notes at the same time. Well, not the same what they're saying. I
Yeah,
can read
can't.
notes and then I have to read out if I want to continue talking what it says. It's terrible. I hope I have this ability in my next life, I tell you, that I can read notes and talk at the same time. Here we go. Okay. Okay, and then we still have time. Yeah, it's great. We still have time to look at this other text that I sent first. So you have this beautiful picture of Rinpoche, you know, offering even one drop of water he would offer first before he would consume it. You know, me then with the drinking, yeah, I go but the mind absolutely not there. The mind is already in the coffee. But at least I have trained the mind to offer the food before I eat it. But here also, you know, it's difficult. I'm not going, you know, with friends or in the restaurant when I'm with non-Buddhists. If I'm with Buddhists, I do it. And then, you know, I'm very silently say the prayer and, you know, the reactions of the friends. When you just look at the food and you're not saying anything and you don't start eating, what do they say? What do they usually say? They ask you something, isn't it? What do they ask?
I don't know. Normally they just ask me something like, what's wrong? Or
Exactly, something wrong with the food.
yeah.
So then I have to explain. Well, you know, it's easier for me as a nun to explain than for you as lay people, because then they go like, yeah. So and I always try not to shock people and not to offend them. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he knew that even shocking people would be beneficial for them. This, I don't have this wisdom, so I prefer not. Okay, so the yoga of offering food. So then here it says, you know, there's 3 ways of offering food. First, as I said, we have to be careful with the food, not to create negative karma by eating it out of attachment. This is why we say, you know, in the other short prayer, I see this food as medicine, not to create attachment, not to create a healthy body that then I'm arrogant about. Well, healthy body, yeah, but not to, you know, not to look wonderful, healthy, and this and that. In Tibetan, it says not to become fat. Of course, in the West, this doesn't work because being fat is not a good thing in the West. So then this also we took away and said not out of arrogance, not with aversion. Also, you know, when somebody gives you food. So again, this is for monks and nuns, and we usually are offered food. So then not to eat it with aversion. You know, not to go like, oh, well, yeah, somebody offers you food, you eat it. If they ask, is it nice? Then what is it? Is it lying when you say, well, you know, if you start saying things like, oh, it's very interesting, then they already know. And you can, but I don't know, you know, just be skillful and say, well, you know, there's certain things I don't like so much. But even if you'd say that, when people offer you food, they feel so embarrassed, they feel so ashamed. So sometimes it's just eat it. If they don't ask, you don't have to say anything also. You know, don't forget, if nobody asks you, not saying anything is not lying. Yeah, if your friend is coming with a totally, with an outfit that absolutely doesn't suit her, if she doesn't ask you, how do you think it looks? If they ask, you can say, well, you know, in my opinion, but it's just my opinion, this and this and this. But it's difficult, you know, it's difficult to, especially with the food when it's offered, to say something then if you don't like it. But this is why we make the prayer. I eat it without aversion, without attachment. So at least we train the mind to understand the aversion and the attachment is not in the food. Yeah, the food is just the condition for aversion and attachment. It's not the cause. You know, if it would be the cause, then, you know, good food could never create gratitude, for example, for having given it to you. Yeah, and it would always, if it's the cause for aversion, then it would always have to be awful. And we know how it is. Certain dishes, sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. And have you ever had food poisoning? Any of you? Shame. You should get food poisoning at one point.
Diarrhea, yeah, in India.
Yeah, diarrhea is okay, but nausea and vomiting, you vomit your stomach out when you have food poisoning. And even years after, just the thought of this food is creating big aversion. But before you had the food poisoning, you ate the food. So there was no aversion. So there we see it's coming from the attitude that we have towards the food. And it is coming from the mind. It's not coming from the food. Yeah. So like that. Okay, so we can do it the Hinayana way. Then there is a prayer how to do it in the Hinayana way, and we can do it in the Mahayana way. Of course, then you make charity to all sentient beings. In the Mahayana way, we say, I eat this food, I want to have a healthy body so I can attain enlightenment, I can continue practicing, and all these kinds of thoughts that have to do with bodhicitta. And then you can also do it in the Tantra way, in the Vajrayana. For that, you need to have initiation. And of course, that is the most powerful way, because why? You know, you visualize yourself as the deity and you feed the deity. Why is that so powerful? Why is that the most powerful way? Much more than offering it to the Buddhas in all the 10 directions. Okay, I ask you another question. How much confidence you have that you have Buddha nature? How much of this confidence you had that you do nothing else but looking and discovering that Buddha nature? Maybe from this to maybe like that. Not like this, of course not, but maybe like that a little bit. Yeah. So if you constantly visualize yourself as the deity, then again, it's like the 4 immeasurables, where you combine different practices. So to generate yourself as the deity, you need to know about emptiness. Also, to generate yourself as the deity, you need to have taken initiation. So in order to, the prerequisites for initiation is renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, right? So then you have done all this. You see yourself as the deity. You kind of strengthen your confidence in being the Buddha. Like, you see, I don't think that once we realize emptiness, we will see ourselves as a Buddha. Seeing ourselves as a Buddha, because it's also only conventional reality, has to be trained. We have trained the mind to see inherent existence since beginningless time. And that's why we see inherent existence. That's why we see ourselves as ordinary beings. But we never trained to see ourselves as the Buddha. Once we have trained enough to see ourselves as the Guru Buddha, we will see ourselves as the Guru Buddha, but if we have realized emptiness. So that has to go together, the conventional anti-ultimate truth. But it has to be trained. It's not just coming like you realize emptiness, you see yourself in a kind of Sambhogakaya or Nimanakaya. Absolutely not. Because without the Dharmakaya, there is no way that you see these 2 bodies. And Dharmakaya you can only have if you have practiced bodhicitta, practiced it, not just thinking about it. So that's the Tantra way, and this is why the Tantra way is the most powerful way. Yeah. Okay, then you can, of course, if you want, you can read all this. And then also when you see yourself as the deity, then the deity, you and the Guru become one. So you offer not just to the deity, you also offer to yourself as the Guru, you offer to your inner Guru. So that's wonderful. So it says, does it say something? And then it becomes, as it says here, it becomes a tzog offering. So then it's good if you know what it is. If you don't know what it is, I don't have to go and explain it here. You will find out once you have had highest yoga tantric initiations, and you do Guru Puja with tzog offering twice a month, which is actually a commitment. It's tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow is the 10th. Tomorrow is the 10th, so it's Guru Puja day. So then it's also, there's a very short version about this that you can do, but if there is a center and Guru Puja is done, please go, because it teaches you how to do Guru Puja, which is again very joyful. And then you offer tzog, which are the two substances, the bala and madana, and you can have this with you all the time. So whenever you eat, you take these two substances with yourself as a deity, becomes a tzog offering, becomes very, very, very powerful. Is that okay? With this, for those who know what tzog offering is. If you don't know what tzog offering is, then you don't need to do that yet. Also, when you have, this whole thing without these two substances, Lama Zopa was very strict. People who don't have highest yoga tantric initiations, they don't take it. Nyingmas, absolutely no problem. Everybody takes it, kind of a whole glass of it and a big chunk of it, whatever. Within the geluk, it's just with the two fingers. But, instead of saying, when people kind of look at it and they don't know what to do when you are in the Guru Puja and there's tzog offering, instead of telling them, no, you're not allowed to take it, just tell them you don't have to take it. And then it's fine. It's much nicer. And when you say, you're not allowed to take it, then they feel maybe a bit, but it's tricky, I mean, these two substances, meat and alcohol, which are transformed into emptiness and transformed into pure bliss. So then for Brahmins, at the time of the Buddha, the worst was meat and alcohol. So for us, actually, to see whether we are able to transform it into nectar, it should be pipi caca or something like that. Yeah, because meat and alcohol, some even are, vegetarians are looking forward for the tzog offering. There's at least a little bit of, for vegetarians who like meat, there's a little bit of, at least once, a little bit of meat, which is a good cause and this and that. So, but for that, you have had highest tantric yoga initiations, which is Kala Chakra, Yamantaka, Chittamanitara, Heruka, all these things. Yeah, this is highest yoga tantra. Then you get bodhisattva vows and tantric vows. And then you can do every meal you can do like this. So that's really good. Yeah. As it says, then similarly, whatever you do, seeing yourself as the deity. Actually, we should train in these four purities, not just in the retreat, seeing ourselves as the guru deity, seeing all the others as also seeing as Buddhas, seeing the environment as a pure land, and everything we taste is nectar, everything we hear is the sound of mantra. So then we kind of, we take big chunks out of ordinary appearance. And it says, you collect extensive merit, you bring yourself closer to him every minute of every day. So don't be too afraid of taking these initiations and then doing the practices. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so here you have extensive offering. Of course, again, the motivation, the purpose of my life is to free all living beings from all suffering and its cause and lead them to full enlightenment. And then here, there are numberless hell beings from whom I received all my past, present, and future happiness, not when they were hell beings, but when they were humans and they were my parents. And now because of negative karma, they fell into the hells. Yeah. They are the kindest, most precious beings in my life. Therefore, I must liberate them from all suffering and its cause and lead them to enlightenment by myself alone. So this, and then it goes through all the, you know, hungry ghosts, animals, it's always the same verse. Human beings, and it's good, it's, if you have time, it's really good to go through these 6 realms of existence. You can add the bardo beings and the beings in the form and formless realms. So then in order to repay that kindness and to liberate them, and to lead them to enlightenment, then in order to do all this, I must first achieve full enlightenment myself. Therefore, I'm going to practice the yoga of eating and making charity to all sentient beings, including those who live in my body. Yeah, so that's another good thing. As the Mahayana practice of the, you know, of the perfection vehicle, do you think I have so many organisms in my body? So then by eating, then I feed them as well, you know? Also, when you offer the food, it's really good to think, of course, like charity, giving it to all beings, but it's really good to think, I make it on behalf. I make this offering to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas on behalf of all of all the hell beings, of all the hungry ghosts, of all the animals, humans, asuras, suras, bardo beings, form and formless realms, so that they get the merit from offering the food to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then the more organisms in your body. And then, because when you do that, as it says here, through the connection with all sentient beings I've created by making food charity to them at this time, bring them to full enlightenment by teaching the Dharma when they become human, because then we create a connection. Then is, of course, the merit, the guru, like the merit field, either just one deity that you practice, or Shakyamuni, or like the whole thing. This time I found the merit field. Of course, it looks very complicated, and of course it looks very elaborate because you haven't seen it many times. So again, don't squeeze and don't go, merit fields you find on the internet, absolutely no problem. I got this from Tenzin Zopa, and then somehow he said, I don't know why, please don't share it with others. So I can't send it to you, this one. I don't know why. But you find merit fields on the internet, you know, in the Google, absolutely no problem. So then you visualize that, or just one deity, which is your guru, and your guru is all these other deities. Out 10, visualizing in these ways, make the offering, thinking that numberless Buddhas throughout the 10 directions receive an immeasurable amount of nectar. Then again, always place it, Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung. Lama Zopa, then the cloud offering, the kind of multiplying the offerings. And here it's good to think I, the one who's making the offerings themselves, and the one who is receiving the offerings, all 3 circles, empty of inherent existence. It becomes the perfect offering like this. This one multiplies it. Power of the truth. That we usually do when we do, you know, when we do it in a sadhana, it always comes. I haven't really seen it, that one does it when by offering food, but of course here it says so. So you can do as much as you want. The more you do is okay. But then, you know, if it prevents you from doing things because it's too much, then again, it's not much point. Here is, like always with these things, these are suggestions how you can do it in the best way. Then you do whatever you can. But also in the morning, when you do your offerings, like when you do an altar, then also you do these mantras, right? Power of the truth. And then you know, with Lama Zopa, then you can think about making these offerings to all other Buddhist countries, to all statues, stupas, texts, scriptures, this and that, and there's no ending to it. And then when you offer, Lama Zopa said, but this is very nice. Instead of just offering the food, you think, I prostrate, make offerings, and think that I have produced bliss in the enlightened being's minds. So these are these 3 actions when you offer, be it food or light or whatever. And this again, you know, it's so much more extensive. It doesn't take that much more time by thinking, okay, I'm just offering the food, but I also prostrate. I make the offerings, and I produce bliss in sentient beings' minds, and then it creates to produce bliss in our own mind. So here are these 3 actions: prostrating, offering, generating infinite bliss. And then, okay, then now offering to all Buddhas with this verse. Yeah, Dharma and Sangha, prostrate, make numberless nectar food offerings to all Buddhas, Dharma and Sangha in the 10 directions, meditating that their essence is your root virtuous friend. From your side, generate infinite bliss within them. Now, again, why? Well, people say, why do I have to create? Buddha is blissful anyway. Why do I, by offering food, produce bliss in them? Because it produces bliss in us. And I always use the same example. Imagine giving His Holiness the Dalai Lama 1 chocolate, and he bites into it. And of course, and he says, so nice. How do you feel? How do you feel? Totally blissful. But because because he is happy, so we are happy. You know, making somebody happy that you respect makes you happy. It's so powerful. Yeah, makes you very happy. So then, but the thing is, I lack the confidence that the Buddhas are actually receiving it. And then by saying these verses, if I have time, maybe in a retreat, again and again and again, it nourishes that confidence. Wow, we have 3 more minutes. Anyway, you have to text. What I suggest is that you look at it and you see these different things, these different ways of producing food. And then I have a bit more things to talk about next time. Because just offering water bowls, again, I said, you know, what we're going to talk about. So look at it, study it, because then you also have some responsibility, not just me to go blah, blah, blah. If you have time, look at it. If you have questions, ask the questions. Otherwise, we talk more about the benefit of offering next time, and then how to do water bowl offerings. Is that okay? Like this. Then we do very short, because I don't want to take Lars's time. Or is Teres, are you leading it?
Yes, so no stress.
I don't want to take your time. So we dedicate all the positive energy that we have generated by thinking about the 7 limbs, by seeing how powerful they are. May we get the confidence that this really happens, and then bliss is coming up in our own mind also, and that we use that bliss. You know, not just to, wow, 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 I feel so blissful and wonderful, not to space out, but to really, really kind of nourish our own abilities to kind of inspire others, to influence others, to lead them to practice ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom, so that all of us can very, very quickly attain liberation and full awakening. May I become the person that I really want to be, a Buddha. I'm not quite there yet, but like Talia, you know, it's do you believe in your Buddha potential? Yes, definitely. And I'm so grateful to the gurus who have given me that confidence. Without the guru, with only books, with only YouTube videos, no way. No way, I'm sure. For me personally, absolutely no way. So the guru is the most important person in my life. Okay, thank you very much, and please take care, and see you next Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ani Losang.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.